welcome to the cozy corner of my room. Unfortunately, today we will not be talking about anything cozy. I want to talk to parents and anyone who has a small child or a teen in their family and warn them about dangers online and some of the things I've seen in certain communities. So without further ado, let's get into it. We will be talking about sexual predators online, okay? Now, I'm defining sexual predators as people that look at childhood sexual assault material of any kind. So that would include drawings or videos of real children and share stories of childhood sexual assault material and frame it in a good or sexy light. So that's what we're talking about today. As far as people that have a disturbance, a mental disturbance, who are in therapy and attempting to correct their disturbance, I'm not sure if it's like rape and it's just a power and control thing, which we know why rape happens. It's a power and control thing. Or if it's a disturbance that they have that can only be helped through therapy and they can get better and things like that. And because of my past, I'm not willing to do research into that. I just can't handle it. That is for people that treat them, and we're not talking about that. We're talking about offenders here. Now, what they call themselves, and some people may call themselves and actually not this and may not look at childhood sexual assault material, but from what I've seen, a lot of them do, and they call themselves MAPs. Minor attracted person, or they call themselves non-offending, so NO, minor attracted person, so nomap. Some of the things I've seen are very disturbing, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you what website they were on. So I was on Tumblr back in its heyday, before it died, when it allowed a lot of things. And one of the things it allowed was pornography, which is fine, but child pornography is not, okay? So these people were on Tumblr and they created a community, all right? Now I think anyone with a mental illness, and I'm defining a disturbance as different than an illness, wants to create a community and wants to encourage other people with that same illness to seek help. Like, I'm in an OCD support group. We encourage each other not to perform our compulsions, not to ruminate, but instead to practice our healthy coping mechanisms, okay? So if someone has a disturbance and they seek out support groups and they encourage each other not to hurt people, all the better. However, what I saw on Tumblr was not that. I saw people arguing with children, real children that had in their bios, hello, I'm 16, hello, I'm 15, and telling them it is okay for me to look at childhood sexual assault material as long as it's just a drawing, and it's okay for me to share stories where it's framed in a sexy light. The children were very offended because they did not like to be sexualized, right? So they would then tell them, you're disgusting, you're evil, I hate you. And they would even tell them to off themselves because they were understandably very upset by this. And then they would be met with these non-offenders saying things like, you're immature. Well, no, they're children, but they're right about this. You don't understand. You're making things worse. And they would take the moral high ground. And I saw this a lot, of them taking the moral high ground. Honestly, what I got from this community, which I hope doesn't reflect people that are seeking help for their disturbance, I hope it's just the people that are giving in to their disturbance that are like this, but they were so uppity. They thought they were better. They thought it was sad. But anyways, so as an adult, when I saw this, I was terrified. And I said, hey, do not talk to them. I know you're trying to defend yourself and other peers, but please don't talk to pedophiles. Please. I don't think anyone with that disturbance, whether they're seeking help or not, should be engaging in conversation online with children, period. So, and then I was also quite cruel to these people. Now, when I went to therapy, I talked about it. My therapist said, well, they were hurting people, so don't beat yourself up too much. And I'm like, yeah, they were hurting kids. I mean, but I would go back and just not engage with them at all, because I would argue with them. I would say, what you're doing is wrong. You're sexualizing children. I'm a survivor, and you're making the trauma, you're trying to make it into something sexy, and it's not. The reality of it is it ruins lives. But they were never going to hear me. That was never going to go through. Now, I've had, when I was in talk therapy, my therapist agreed that that's harmful, so that's one professional. And when I was in exposure response prevention therapy, my therapist agreed that's horrible. That's two professionals, okay? So when two professionals say something, maybe people with that disturbance should listen. I want to make sure I covered all the topics. Okay, here's some of the things I heard them say, well, not heard them, but saw them say to children. The people that hate us the most are like us. You only hate me because you're like me. They would tell children with POCD, obvious POCD symptoms, that they were pedophiles. And they would say it's okay to look at drawings of childhood sexual assault material and share stories like that. I've even seen people say things, go along to say that they, now there were minors in this group as well, okay? So 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds that were attracted to like 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 13-year-olds, the works, okay? Yeah. I've seen some people say that they support minor maps. I can't, just saying the word map. I've seen some people say they support them because they think that they might just have POCD and they might have been led astray. I've seen that. One person said, I was diagnosed with POCD and these people led me to believe that I was a pedophile instead, which I might as well say the word, which is just awful and sad. My message to anyone with that disturbance is it's your responsibility, your right, and you have the strength within you to never harm someone. And if you are looking at drawings, sharing them, sharing stories, sexualizing trauma, okay, you've already harmed someone. And you've harmed a lot of people, and I don't really have a lot of sympathy for you. So if you're a parent, these people moved from Tumblr. I read an article that said they moved to Twitter. So if your child is on Twitter, watch them. Tell them what this term is. And tell them to block and not engage with those people. The term is MAP. So they call themselves minor attracted person. So if you see MAP in their bio, or nomap, non-offending minor attractive person. Regardless of whether they're offending or not, regardless of whether they're sharing childhood sexual assault material or not, children do not need to talk to them. So warn your children, make sure they're not talking to these people, and stay safe out there, folks. Okay. Sorry for the PSA. Another PSA, I know. Bye-bye.